Good morning everyone. My name is Craig Cipriano, President of MTA Bus. I'm excited to be here with Jan Oliba, President of MTA Construction and Development, John Markowitz, the New York Power Authority's Director of E-Mobility, Technology and Engineering, and Julie Tai, President of the New York League of Conservation Voters. We're here to announce another exciting step in the MTA's ongoing commitment to achieve a zero-emission, all-electric fleet by 2040. And right now I'd like to have Jano please step up to share some of the details.
Thank you, Craig. I want to, just by way of starting out, acknowledge Craig's work during the pandemic. The bus system is the one part of our transit system that really continued to carry very large numbers of people right through the pandemic. It was the workhorse of getting people to and from around the neighborhoods and to and from essential workplaces. Craig, thank you to you and everybody at MTA, the MTA bus system, who delivered so much for New York during the pandemic. What we're looking at today with these zero emissions buses is exactly the kind of investment New York needs to build back better at this critical moment for the city, the state, and the country. And it solidifies MTA's status as the premier transit agency in terms of its commitment to the environment. We in New York have 40% of the riders, the transit riders in this country, and we have the most efficient system in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. People don't think of New York as green, but it is, and it's because of our transit system. Everybody knows that the MTA took a huge financial hit during the pandemic, but at Governor Cuomo's urging, we are pushing ahead with a major element of our capital plan, our $55 billion capital plan, which, as I said, was decimated by the pandemic. But that commitment to green is what enables us to be here talking about additional electric buses. We have a mandate from the governor to go greener and to go further in reducing pollution by electrifying our bus fleet. Today we're announcing the next electric bus purchase to be awarded last year will be increased from 45 to 60 buses, a one-third increase from what was previously planned. That's 4 times the size of our last zero-emission bus procurement. And as we have learned over the past 4 years, operating these buses requires significant power and infrastructure additions. To that end, the MTA has finalized a $39 million deal with the New York Power Authority to install more than 50 of these overhead electric chargers at 5 locations citywide. We're not just buying the buses, we're creating the infrastructure that enables them to operate and to be effective. Construction of all this is expected to begin this fall, and the total project will take about a year to complete. We're serious about delivering on the promise of a zero-emissions fleet by 2040. That was part of our capital plan, and we're recommitting to it today. We already operate 25 all-electric buses, and the historic capital plan, 2020 to 2024, includes over $1 billion in funding to buy more electric buses, along with the required charging infrastructure at 8 of our depots. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity with the Biden administration in Washington, and we thank the President, Secretary Buttigieg, and, of course, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer for their leadership in creating cleaner, greener transportation across the country. They've made clear that climate change and equity are really the priorities of this administration in the transit arena, and obviously those are our priorities as well. Now I'm happy to turn it back to Craig, who's got an update on the progress of the overall electrification effort. Craig.
So the significance of this 33% increase is that our work with electric buses over the past 3 years has indicated that zero-emission buses are viable. And while there's still much work to be done, our initial experience has provided us a path to a truly zero-emission 6,000 bus all-electric fleet. This new fleet of buses, these 60 buses, will operate in each of New York City's 5 boroughs, and the first buses are expected to be delivered by the end of 2022. Modernizing our infrastructure in this way will have far-reaching impacts that can help address social equity and climate change. In New York City, most of our bus depots are located in low, moderate-income communities, and transit bus routes run disproportionately through these neighborhoods. Conversion to an all-electric fleet will help to significantly improve air quality and public health by reducing health outcomes like asthma. We are learning more each and every week about the range of electric buses, and as both battery technology and mobile charging infrastructure matures, we are able to expand the range of each bus to cover even more routes. This is our first partnership with NYPA, New York Power Authority, to install the in-depot charging infrastructure that includes overhead pantograph-down charging in our depots. And it will be the first project that requires Con Ed to add new power supply to our depots. Today's announcement is another important milestone to get us where we need to go. And with considerable state and federal resources and focus already committed to a zero-emissions future, we expect our program to meet the commitment to an all-electric bus fleet by 2040, with only electric buses being procured in 2028 and beyond. Now I'd like to share more about the new charging equipment being installed at our depots with John Markowitz. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm John Markowitz, Director of E-Mobility Technology and Engineering at the New York Power Authority. I want to thank Craig and Jano and the entire team for stepping up to the plate and leading the way for New York City's transition to zero-emission public transit. NYPA couldn't ask for a better partner than the MTA when it comes to working together to promote a cleaner environment, improve public health, and ensure a sustainable future for all New Yorkers. MTA's commitment to electrify its entire bus fleet by 2040 is what we strive to see across the state. The goal is ambitious, but it's achievable, and the Power Authority is pleased to support this transition by collaborating to modernize the charging infrastructure. NYPA will be installing more than 50 state-of-the-art overhead chargers to power these new electric buses. The chargers will be in 4 depots across the city, and in one case, there'll be one of these chargers on the street, so the buses could be charged during the driver's rest periods. Construction will start this fall. It'll complete within a year, and we're really looking forward to seeing the electrification of the fleet and working on this partnership. Thanks.
Now I'd like to introduce Julie Tai from the New York League of Conservation Voters.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. I'm so excited to be here once again with Craig and with Jano. We haven't seen each other in a very long time. My name is Julie Tai. I'm president of the New York League of Conservation Voters. Transportation is the largest source of climate change in the state and in our country. That's why one of our top priorities at the New York League of Conservation Voters is cleaning up our transportation sector. We won't be able to tackle the climate crisis without rethinking how our transportation system works, and we need more and cleaner buses in order to do that. Diesel pollution harms public health and raises the risk of asthma, which is the leading cause of school absenteeism and is especially bad in neighborhoods like the South Bronx. Sadly, diesel pollution's most harmful impacts are felt in neighborhoods that have historically borne a disproportionate burden of air pollution, and as Craig noted, is often low income and communities of color. That's why we're advocating for policies like congestion pricing, which we're very excited that the Biden administration is moving forward, electric buses and busways to help green our transportation sector. And Washington is taking steps to help us get there. We're very pleased earlier this year when the American Rescue Plan included $6.5 billion in funding for the MTA to help support our subways, buses, and trains as New Yorkers get back to work, commuting to work. Importantly, President Biden's American Jobs Plan is making bus electrification a priority, and as we noted a few weeks ago with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, his Clean Transit for America Act would invest an additional $50 billion in zero-emission transit buses on top of $25 billion proposed by the president, which we hope would accept the MTA to accelerate that move to electric that they've already committed to in a very historic announcement. And today, we're very excited to be here that the MTA is dedicated towards fulfilling its goals of an all-electric fleet by 2040. Increasing the number of zero-emission buses on the road will reduce pollution and improve air quality, especially in environmental justice neighborhoods that host a disproportionate share of those bus depots. Expanding the charging infrastructure, including new en route chargers, will power more buses and help the MTA reduce more pollution. And we thank the NYPA also for participating and helping to make this a reality for the MTA and possibly for other transits across the state. We look forward to seeing electric buses and charging stations deployed throughout the city. And thank you again to MTA for your vital leadership in increasing your e-transit bus investments in 2021. Thank you.
Hey, Craig.
Hi, Dave.
I'm just kind of curious. We got New York Power Authority here. We got you here too. Can you give us any update on what's the current status for any talks to kind of reduce power costs for electric vehicles and when the MTA has to charge them?
Sure. So, we are having some conversations with Con Edison in regards to, demand charges with electric vehicles. Right now, it's still an evolving technology, right? And we know that there's a lot of opportunities that we want to explore in regards to strategies to charging buses. One of the things that we also are exploring is that, subway traction power and the need for power on buses is complementary. So what I'm saying is that at nighttime, when subways is using the least power, is when buses would want that power to charge electric buses. So that's power that we have available to us, and we want to explore that. In regards to demand charging and speaking with Con Ed, that's also happening in regards to as we move ahead and need the power, what type of demand charges and rates we can work out with them.
Do you have like a date for when you'd have to hit, figure out when this is happening so that everybody can know and we can have hearings, I guess, there's all that stuff?
Sure. So, the plan right now, we made a commitment to an all-electric fleet by 2040. The current capital plan has 500 buses to be charged or to be procured in this capital plan. So what I would tell you is that, after, 2028 and beyond, we'll only be buying electric buses. There's a lot of work to be done. We have 28 bus depots that need to be outfitted with charging infrastructure. We have, also, put these type of opportunity charges. We have to work with New York City to put them in and around the city. Right now we're in the process of developing our master plan, which is I think what you're asking, to give us a phased approach, program approach to get us from today to 2040.
Anybody else? Other questions?
I had one more.
All right, one more from Streets Plaza.
He came. Give him two questions.
I'm curious. I also was just curious, we're going to be seeing a lot more electric truck utilization in the city, in the region. Is there any threat that the MTA is going to have to be kind of competing with people in their own personal cars, people with, this 1,800-pound Ford F-150 battery that's going around? Is that, what is that threat, if any, and what is the kind of idea to deal with it?
Sure. So, I don't see it as a threat as much as I see it as, the focus on electrification of fleets. So, we know that there's a lot of power that's going to be required, not only for the MTA fleet, but for New York City. And, we're eager to work with our partners, such as the New York Power Authority, which is here today, Con Ed, city and state government to build up that infrastructure. What we do know is that, and I think I mentioned, there are other opportunities in regards to powering up buses. I had mentioned traction power. There's also opportunities such as repurposing our existing compressed natural gas infrastructure to generate power on site, potentially solar panels. This is really a new ecosystem. It's more than just the MTA is what I'm getting at. So we look forward to working with all the stakeholders to deliver on this for New York City.
Hey, Craig, does John want to take a shot at that question?
Sure, John, would you like to?
Sure. Yeah, I think the closest comparison to make to the electrification of fleets is air conditioning, right? That if you go back a few decades, hardly anybody had it. It's slowly phased in, right? And the power companies just dealt with it, built out the infrastructure to support it. So the same thing's really true with the electrification of fleets, right? It's going to be a 15-year window as it keeps ramping up. You keep building out the infrastructure to support it. And you do the same thing on the rate side to make sure all the rates are right so that you could do grid-friendly charging. And buses are a perfect example. You could charge them late at night when that air conditioning load is down. So you just have to get all of that right so that it's an attractive thing for the fleets, that it's actually cheaper than fossil fuels.
All right, thanks everybody. Thank you.